Hi, this is Shiva, and I'm working as an assistant professor in the Department of Artificial Intelligence and Machine Learning, Annamacharya University, Rajapet. Today, I'm going to discuss about the introduction to big data concepts. Here, I'm going to discuss about the definition and characteristics of big data and types of analytics and the big data challenges and their opportunities. So let's move into the big data. The big data refers to the extremely large, complex, and rapidly growing data sets that exceeds the processing capacity of traditional relational database management systems. These sets requires a specialized data storage architectures and also distributed processing frameworks. So big data is not defined solely by its size. So it's characterized by multiple dimensions such as speed of generation and diversity of formats. So if you go to the traditional way of systems, so this uses the centralized storage and rely on structured schemas only, and it is a scale vertically. So this is the limitation in these traditional database systems. So while we are dealing with the big data systems, so that uses the distributed storage across the clusters here. So it supports the structured, semi-structured and unstructured data, and it scales the horizontally, not vertically. So this is the one of the advantage here, and it enables the parallel processing. So if it is enabling the parallel processing, the speed will increase. For example, if you take the Amazon that process the millions of customer transactions daily, so that is one of the big data they are maintaining. And if you take the Facebook that generates a petabytes of social interactions data, and if you take the Netflix also, so Netflix analyze the viewing behavior to recommend it to the contents. So next one is the characteristics of big data. So mainly the big data characteristics of sticks are five different types. The first type is a volume, and second one is a velocity, third one is a variety, and fourth one is a veracity, and fifth one is a value. So we have five different types of characteristics in big data. So let's move on to the first one, that is a volume. So here the volume refers to the massive quantity of data generated and stored. The scale ranges from the terabytes to the petabytes, even it is the exabytes also. So here traditional databases are struggles with the data sets become too large because storage become expensive in traditional databases, and query performance degrades, and the backup and recovery becomes very complex in traditional databases. So that's why we are moving, the big data is having a huge amount of data. Okay, so if there is having huge amount of the data, the solutions are we are maintaining the distributed file systems where the data is partitioned and replicated across the multiple nodes. Okay, so here if you go to the example, so social media platform generates the billions of posts, comments and likes daily, so that is the big data. And if you go to the e-commerce platforms like Amazon stores, customers transactions and browsing histories and product reviews and logistics also, so that is one of the big data. And the smart cities collect the sensor data from the traffic lights, surveillance cameras, and weather monitoring system, weather forecasting. So this also comes under the big data. So this is the first characteristics of big data, that is a volume. The second characteristics of big data is a velocity. So velocity refers to the speed at which the data is generated, transmitted and processed. So here two different types of velocities are there. The first one is a batch processing and second one is a real-time streaming or real-time processing. So batch processing means data is collected over a period and processed it later. So for example, if you go to the monthly attendance system, monthly payroll reports, so this is comes under batch processing. So when we are coming to the real time or streaming processing, data is processed immediately as it is arrived. So if you take the example, mainly banking example we can take here. So fraud detection system in bankings, so it is maintains the real time processing systems. Okay, so this is the velocity. If you take some examples like stock market system process the thousands of transactions per second. It is comes on the real-time processing. And the credit card companies detects the fraudulent transaction instantly. So that is also real-time processing systems. So this is the velocity of the characteristics of big data. Then the third one is variety. So variety is one of the characteristics of big data. So variety refers to the different types of formats of data. So data may be in the form of structured, semi-structured, and also unstructured data. So if you take the structured data, it is organized in rows and columns manner. It is like table. So it is in the form of rows and columns. It is relays on the RDBMS, Relational Database Management Systems. If you take the bank transactions, so it is stored the transaction records in the form of tables. Next, coming to the semi-structured data, so it is a flexible structure and the users can easily read this type of structures like JSON format, XML documents, and log files are having in this type of semi-structured formats. Next, coming to the unstructured data. So unstructured data means no predefined format is there here, like emails and images, videos, social media posts, audio records. So these are all the example for unstructured data. So in the variety of a big data characteristics is having the three different types: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data is having. Okay. The next one is the velocity. So velocity refers to the quality, reliability, and trustworthiness of data. So big data often consists, it may be having the missing values in big data. Why? Because the data is having in very huge amount and it is having duplicate records and inconsistent formats and noisy or incorrect data and biased information is there. So poor data quality can lead to the incorrect insights and poor decision making. For example, if you take the social media data, it may contains the fake accounts or spam content. And the census data, if you take, the data is coming from IoT devices may contains the noise due to the hardware malfunctions. So to manage variety, organizers uses the data cleaning techniques they are going to use and some data validation rules they are going to perform and data pre-processing mechanisms they are going to do and statistical anomaly detection methods also they are going to do. Okay, so this is the veracity. So next coming to the value. So here the value refers to the ability to transform the data into meaningful insights that provides the business benefits. So the value are coming from the all four characteristics previously, that is volume, velocity, variety, and veracity. So and it will give a meaningful value finally. Okay. So if you take the example, so personalized product recommendations increases the online sales. And if you take the fraud detection system, it reduces the financial losses. And predictive maintenance reduces the mission downtime and also in manufacturing. So mainly we are, for example, if you take the Amazon user uses the customer purchases history to recommend the products. If you take the banking industry, so bankers analyze the transactions pattern to access the credit risk. So these are all the five different types of V's: volume, velocity, variety, and value of big data. So next concept is the types of analytics, and next we'll go to the big data challenges and opportunities. Now we'll see the types of analytics. So in the big data, we have different types of analytics we are using here. The first type is a descriptive, and second type is a diagnostic, and third one is a predictive, and fourth one is a prescriptive. So let's move into the descriptive. So in the descriptive, so it will take the question like what happened. So it is mainly focusing on the historical data. So what happened in the historical data, that is a descriptive things. Diagnostic means, so diagnostic means the question is why did it happen? So it is also based on the historical data. The question is why did the result came like this? Next, predictive means, so what will happen in the future? Next, prescriptive means what should be done in the future. So this descriptive and diagnostics is mainly focusing on the historical, and predictive and this prescriptive, it is mainly focusing on the future. The next one is